Hey, everybody, welcome back to Perspectives. I am really excited with my guest today. This is a good friend of mine. I know you guys are like, everyone's your friend, and they really are. I have a lot of friends, but this
That's
is
called a good networker.
it is called a good networker. And I met Onaje, and he's kind of like my bonus nephew. Um, incredibly smart individual. So today I have with me Mr. Onaje Barnes. So Onaje, I'd like for you to just take a minute, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Hey, I'm Najee Barnes. I do a lot of stuff, probably too much stuff. I am, in short, a real estate investor. I'm a long term buy and hold real estate investor, and what that means is I'm a landlord. I buy property to for cash flow passively. I try to be passive. I do have a 9 to 5 currently, and full family. I'm a dad. I'm a real estate investor. I'm a husband. A lot of things. Data analyst. But for the most part, my passion is real estate, and we buy property for long-term generational wealth for the most part.
I love that. We haven't had a whole lot of conversations about generational wealth. So what I really want to do is I kind of want to go back. I want you to tell everybody where you started. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Houston. I'm from Houston. I invest only in Houston right now, and I grew up in the hood. I don't shy away from that. I'm the third child of four to a single mom. So do that math in life. And we didn't have a whole lot of money. Again, grew up in Third Ward, Houston, Texas, one of the more historically African American. Just kind of got a lot of history. Didn't have a ton of money, but we did value education very highly in our family. Everybody.
Oh, you just muted, Onaje. I don't know what happened, but you just went on mute in the middle of your sentence. Let's try.
I'm still here. Okay, sorry. I think the internet just defaults to mute, but
It's all good.
we didn't have a lot of.
You highly valued education is the right
Yes,
word.
we highly value education. All four of my mom's kids ended up with a 4 year degree. I'm the one. All three of the of my siblings are educators. I like to think I'm an educator, but really I majored in economics, and I fell in love with the love of learning how money works. And just kind of got out of college. Just traditional route. Look, I'm like super traditional. You grow up poor, they tell you get an education, they tell you get to go to college, they tell you get a good job. So I did all that. 3 years into my initial career, which I guess is still kind of my career, I jumped into the fashion retail buying industry. So think about the realistic version of Project Runway. That was me at some point, but also with like a lot of math and data and geeky stuff. Did that for 3 years as a buyer for a major department store chain that you probably have heard of wherever you are in America, and did that. That store, that company merged with a larger company, Macy's. So I was employed by Macy's as a buyer for them for a while. And but in that merger, 26,000 people got laid off. And I'm like 25 years old. Thought I was going to work for this company for 30 years. Thought I was just going to work hard, work for this company, live a middle class life, which I would have been happy with because I grew up not middle class at all. And so I was just happy with that. But life throw you some curveballs, and I was lucky enough to get laid off at 25 years old. And I consider that luck because I learned some valuable lessons. I learned the lesson that it is not your company's job to get you retired, to get you rich, or even guarantee a lifestyle or an income. And that's not some people think that we are kind of ingrained with that, but that's not the deal you actually signed when you got hired by that.
You just muted again. You are having some fun times with your internet.
I every time I move around, I think so. I'm
Stop
not
moving.
move around. I'm gonna stop moving. Uh, but the lesson learned with that was um, I need to come up with some money to come in every month that's not tied to my job because that job isn't guaranteed. And with my background, I'm like, I was looking around. One of the biggest things that I remember when I was 25 in that layoff was the person who trained me, who taught me how to do that job, got laid off and had no prospects of future employment, did not get offered a job to get on with Macy's. Macy's were offering positions. I got offered the two jobs with them, and I had many prospects. So I was actually fine. And the difference between me and the person that trained me, frankly, unfortunately, he was 50 and I was 25. He had a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old trying to go to college. And that stuck with me. And I said, I don't want that to be me. I don't want to get caught slipping, so to speak. Right. So that's kind of how I fell into real estate. And some people threw me some books and I just start asking questions in YouTube and all this Google and all this other stuff. But that's kind of how I got started in real estate.
Well, interestingly enough, I know that, you talked about where you grew up, which means you really were not a homeowner. So I know at some point in time you bought your very first home, the home for you and your wife. And I don't know if y'all had kids yet then. I can't remember.
No, we did not.
Okay. So it was you and your wife buying a house. So where was your credit at that point in time? Did you have money saved? I mean, were you prepared at this point in time to go in and buy a house?
No. So like, again, it's interesting that you say that because look, I grew up poor for sure, but I was always good at math and science. Always. I mean, my initial major in college was chemical engineering, right? Like that's what I got into college for, right? I was salutatorian of my high school class. So like, I was always good with math, right? And I majored in economics. That's the study of money. But when I was 25 and that layoff occurred, I think I had a 498 credit score. I'm pretty positive I had a 498 credit score because I had these moments in life that are like very vivid. I knew I had a 498 credit score because I got laid off and I got another job offer in Dallas with J.C. Penney department stores and as a planner with them. And
okay, you froze and you muted. J.C. Penney and they?
I got on with J.C. Penney and they gave me a whole package. And they give you the move-in package. So the realtors calling me like, oh, you want to buy a house and you want to relocate, you want to rent, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, yeah, we'll just rent an apartment. And they're running my stuff. And the most embarrassing thing in the world is to tell a recruiter that you got denied for the apartment that she's hooking you up with. And they're going to pay you like your deposit and all that. And you got denied because your credit score is bad. And I had to get my then fiance to co-sign. So it's interesting where you can quote unquote major in economics and be smart, right? Like, and still not have that be prepared for home ownership. Mm-hmm. So that the getting denied an apartment and asking a woman that you want to be your wife to be a co-signer and move to a city after she moved from another city for you as a man kind of is a little humbling, regardless of gender roles and stuff like that, right? Like it's still a little bit humbling as a guy who's trying to quote unquote be a future husband and father and all that kind of stuff that has those aspirations. So that was humbling for me. That was really my catalyst to say, oh no, I need to do something. I need to do something different from a personal finance perspective.
All right, so let's fast forward a little bit because I know that eventually, you and your spouse were able to purchase a home. If you're going to talk a little bit about that, absolutely we can. But we're at a point now where, we talk about generational wealth, right? So I want you to tell me what you believe generational wealth is.
I'm still trying to figure that out. uh, you know, first of all, what does wealth mean? Okay, so wealth means money. Wealth means assets, cash flowing assets. Wealth also means knowledge, values, how you think, how you approach life, mindset. Like you can hand down mindset, right? You can hand down knowledge, right? You can hand out. I mean, we just had an issue going to school this morning where we kind of, had some hiccups getting out the house and getting out. My car didn't start, right? And my son is panicking because he's gonna be late for school. And we had a whole teachable moment about, we are problem solvers in this family. Like that was a whole, like the whole ride to school was after we solved the problem and we jump started the truck and whatever because it was cold out, whatever. Um, we talked about being problem solvers and me teaching my kids to be problem solvers. Is that more wealthy than me passing down an apartment complex? I don't know. So what does generational wealth mean for me is the
Okay, you froze again. You froze again. And you're muted.
struggle, man.
We are struggling today. So, what does generational wealth mean to you? That's where you stopped.
Yeah, what it means to me is the things that I value um, from a wealth perspective, right? Whether that's tangible or intangible, me being able to hand down those things to my kids and they take it with them for future generations. I think that's kind of what I call it. A little bit long answer, but that's kind of how I view it. And it evolves, and then that my definition does evolve.
Well, and I agree with everything you're saying because, at the end of the day, we're blessed with these little beings and, they don't come with an instruction booklet.
No, they do not.
And so we are definitely a product of, how we grew up. Right. And, I know I have looked at things and I said, I don't want to do this the way that my parents did. And that's not a judgment on my parents. It's just a different point of view, right?
Right.
And then there are things that I'm like, I absolutely want to do this the way that my parents did. And so, we talk about mindset because where does mindset, in your opinion, how important is mindset when you decide that the circumstances you're in are not the circumstances that you want to stay in, and you need to figure out how to move away from that.
It's super important. It's interesting. A lot of people, we have these mindset conversations, but for me, sometimes I like overshadow them. I don't know, I push them aside, but it's so important because one, you have to make a conscious decision that you want to change. Two, you got to go get the information or the knowledge to make that change that you want to make. But none of that really matters, right? If it's not up here to say, hey, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it with all the mental fortitude that I need to. When the chips are down, when there's roadblocks in my way, I could have the plan, right? But do you have the perseverance to finish the plan? A lot of people got plans, right? But as they said, as Mike Tyson said, you have a whole plan until you get hit in the mouth, right? What are you going to do then? And that takes a mindset, right? It takes a mindset to have the humility to go ask for help. It takes a mindset to, okay, I got the help, and a roadblock got in my way. Am I going to give up, or if I'm going to keep pushing? It takes a certain mindset to say, you know what, I would prefer to do this on a Saturday night, but you know what, I gotta go drive around town and go pay a contractor out because he just finished the job that night and he's got to pay rent because he's 3 days late on rent, so he's really counting on me, right? That happens. So all of that goes into mindset, how you view about money, just even do I deserve to be a millionaire? right? That's my own personal, right? Like that,
Question of worth.
right. Do I deserve certain things, right? Um, is this for me, right? A lot of people live in a I can't, or this is for somebody else, or they. I don't like the word. They doing this and they doing. I don't know. I'm not that guy. I'm like, what are we doing, and how can we move forward?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask you this question from an investment standpoint. So it's actually going to probably be a twofold question. Number one, I want to know, and I want my viewers to know, how many doors you actually own. Secondly, I want to know why you believe that real estate is a key investment in building wealth. And let me put this disclaimer out there. Neither you or I are tax professionals.
Nope.
Um,
I'm not a certified financial
Nor are we certified financial planners. So this conversation really is just a conversation of
I'm a regular dude that grew up from the hood.
So now that I have said that and you have co-signed on it, go ahead and give me your answers.
So I currently have 50 doors. I'm certain that I probably won't have 50 doors in the future. We're just gonna keep growing, which is my addiction. I got 50 doors. Real estate has it. Well, first of all, just Google. Okay, like don't take my word for it. Like just Google millionaires and real estate. Right? It's like 80-90% of all millionaires have real estate in their portfolio. Right? So just start with that, and then go ask the reasons. Right? Why do all these people have real estate? There's probably about 7 or 8 reasons I can go down, right? The power of leverage. And I'm not going to go into these, but I would tell you to go back and Google these words and go learn them, right? Leverage, right? Appreciation, depreciation from a tax perspective, control, right? The ability to control your own destiny from an investment perspective, right? Passive income, cash flow, right? These things are like real estate words, right? Like these are the things that people love. But for me, it's simple. I love cash flow because I just gave you my story about potentially getting laid off or did get laid off, right? Mm-hmm. And so I just love being able to have a few dollars coming in. That's kind of how I started. I wanted a few dollars to come in to just pay a car note. Like that's where I started. I just wanted to pay a car note, right? And then once you get one car note paid, you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. What else could I get paid, right?
Right. Did you freeze on me again? This is so much fun. And you muted. Open your
mouth. We're having a great time.
This is funny. Go ahead.
I like the idea of getting quote unquote mailbox Wi-Fi money in my sleep. I just like that, right? I like waking up, at 7 or 8 in the morning, between the 1st and the 6th, and having a bunch of checks in my email, and we get notified anytime we get a deposit via our software or whatever, and who paid or whatever. And I like that. I do. And then the equity component, being able to, let's say you don't like real estate. Let's say you hate tenants and toilets, right? That's what people hate. They hate tenants and toilets. I hate them too, by the way, just so we're clear. Let's say you hate that. You want to go open up a smoothie shop. Where you gonna get the money? Right? Especially if you ain't come up with for money, right? You can go borrow whatever. Real estate is a great backbone, as I call it. It could be the backbone of your wealth strategy. You could be into stocks. You could be into opening up a business, a small business, whatever you want to do. Typically, as a loan professional, you might need this thing called collateral, right? Many of us heard collateral. Real estate is the number one collateral that most lenders, regardless of what type of lender they are, they're going to want to see. And so just having that option to be able to go get some money out and use it somewhere else, it is huge. And, by the way, when I compare it to my 401k and things of that nature, most stocks are either appreciating stocks or they're dividend yielding stocks, meaning they cash flow. Very rarely do they do both. I challenge anyone to point out a stock or consistently that does both consistently, where real estate can go up in value and produce cash flow at the same time, which is really why I love it.
So, what lessons do you think, or do you know that your kids are learning, watching you and your wife, go on this investment journey?
Man, sometimes I don't know. They kids, they ain't got no handbook. But that kids absorb all kind of stuff, and their lessons of hard work. They know I work hard, and they work hard with me, and we have a saying: we work hard, play hard in the household. Um, they ask a lot of questions. Well, what are we doing? What is this? And just basics of economics, of commerce, um, having a good or service, and then being able to get money for those goods or services. That kind of sounds simple, but most of us in America are just trained to be workers. We're not trained to produce a good or service, right, and get paid for it. That's not what we go to college to learn. We go to college to learn how to be a worker, which is fine, right? But that's not that, and that's a lesson that I'm hoping that they can learn before they hit 25, like I did, right? And so, I have a lot of conversations with my daughter. She asks all kind of questions, and she can tell you the difference between the short term, midterm, and long term rental. She can, we had a tax learning the other day. We had an Airbnb booking come in, and I was able to show her the difference between what Airbnb was getting paid out and what I was getting paid out. So she was like, "Hold on, you paying them $300?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm really not paying them." She was like, "Well, that's your money." And so we had that whole conversation about, and then we were able to change the conversation about what is Airbnb, and understanding that they're a platform and they're a marketplace. Then we were able to have a whole conversation about what a marketplace is and why they're a middleman and able to get paid as a middleman, right? And so I don't actually suspect that my kids will be real estate investors the way me and my wife are, right? And I hope they actually won't. I hope they graduate and grow us beyond where we're at today. She wants to be an architect. My son loves design. They might do some whole other stuff. And so, I just want them to have the tools and the cash and the money to be able to go do whatever dreams that life takes them. They don't have to necessarily do my dream, but as long as I can kind of give them a jump start, I'm cool with it.
So let me ask you this: growing up in extreme poverty, as you said, one of my topics is money trauma. So how do you feel that growing up, how you grew up, has influenced what you're doing now? And do you feel that some of how you grew up affects how you move forward today?
100%. 100%. Like, look, I mean, my background is the reason I'm gonna tell you. You know what I dislike more than anything?
What's that?
Being poor.
Poe's tough.
Now, I didn't say poor. I said po.
I didn't either. I said po.
Right. So I hated that. Right. People say, "Oh, money can't buy happiness." It probably can't, but not having money is hard. It's tough. It's really, really tough. And I don't mean that in any type of way. It's tough. And so I think that is something that really shaped. I majored in chemical engineering because that was the highest salary of anybody graduating college at the time. I'm a stats person, right? I've always been a stats person. That was the highest salary of anybody graduating out of college at the time in the U.S. when I graduated. That's why I made that decision. Now, was that the right decision? Probably not, right? Because obviously I didn't finish with it. And even today, I would say my background has absolutely been rocket fuel for me. But then now, I would say over the last 3 or 4 years, I've been having self-reflection that, okay, it took me here, but how do I get here? And there's still probably some trauma that's stopping me from getting to the next level because, it's like, I didn't grow up knowing millionaires. I didn't grow up. I don't have that. That's not my friend. Like, my friends are still my my friends, right? Like, so a lot of the people that I'm around, a lot of conversations that I had been around, I was the only person doing this crazy real estate investing thing. Mm-hmm. And that's literally how my friends thought me. Like, man, I'm not, it's cool. I mean, it's cool, but he's kind of crazy. Like, what is he doing? Why is he over there learning how to tile floors and whatever I was doing at the time? Or why is he not going out with us? Or blah blah. He must be stressed out because he's working essentially 2 jobs or whatever. So I wasn't having those type of conversations, and I wasn't in those environments, and I probably wasn't, not only because I didn't have it in my network, but I also wasn't seeking it out, which is probably a whole money trauma issue as well.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this. I know, in some of the circles and networks that we're both a part of, people come to you and talk to you because, you're pretty smart to be a young man.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm not being patronizing, guys. I really
no.
Yeah, well,
my auntie.
Yes, you are definitely my nephew. So do you help other people or help, if people come to you for advice, do you offer any mentorships? Do you do any coaching? I know you hold events occasionally in Houston. So tell us all a little bit about how that works for you.
Yeah. So, I'm going to be fine financially at this point in my life, right? I still work. My wife still does a little work or whatever. She's a former educator, but still, has a passion for it. So now we're kind of at a point of trying to find balance. So I do coaching, onaje10k.com. If y'all want coaching or whatever, I can teach all kind of mess. I got a lot of background, a lot of stuff to share. But I do events. But a lot of the stuff I do, I like to do it from a lens of philanthropy. Now that ain't gonna last too long, too much longer. Right. But I am passionate about sharing this knowledge that it took me a long time to learn. And frankly, that wasn't in my space. So I do a lot of speaking engagements in schools just because of my family's education background. Right. I do my own events where, we might do some pop-ups, might share information and stuff like that. I do a lot of speaking engagements for various people. Some paid, some not paid. And yeah, I do one-on-one coaching. I do got several classes out that'll teach specifics. If anybody want to learn a specific thing, whether that's wholesaling, fix and flip, how to be a landlord, how to be a good landlord, do a lot of Section 8 stuff, teach you how to do multifamily, teach you how about commercial. So we can go down a rabbit hole on a lot of stuff I do. But most importantly, I'm passionate about, I have strong feelings around wealth creation in this country. I have strong feelings about the ability of someone being able to jump economic brackets, meaning if you're poor, how do you get to middle class? How do you get to upper middle class or rich or whatever? So I am passionate about the average American being able to have more opportunities beyond what their initial social status was.
Right. All right. Well, I am apparently my battery's about to die. This has been such a technically challenging interview today. Because my battery's getting ready to go. My charger doesn't work. And so I don't want to delve into a whole lot more. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and just kind of, supporting. You pretty much support anything I put out there.
Always. You support me as well, so I appreciate it.
I definitely push sometimes, and we all need somebody that's going to do that for us on occasion. So, I'm sure this is going to be well received. And, again, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing who you are and what that journey has been for you. So everybody, this is Perspectives. Please like, subscribe, share. I'd love your comments on the conversation that Mr. Onaje Barnes and I had today. So please don't be shy about leaving those as well. And I hope that you will tune in for our next podcast of Perspectives. Remember that your day is what you make it. So choose to make your day a great day.